This is our cityscape photo that we're going to need. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock that and bring that over into our photo here. So I'm just going to bring him over. We're just going to use a small sample for this photo, so we need to make it a lot smaller. Let's go ahead and place him behind the door so we can kind of see how he is going to be cut out of the door. So we want to kind of focus on the really cool item of this photo, which is going to be the tower. So we really want to make sure that is front and center. We want to get a lot of these clouds to show, because what I'm going to do is have some of this mist and clouds come into the environment out of the door and around the girl. So we want to make sure that we have not too much sky, which would be right here. That wouldn't be a very interesting photo, but this would be a little bit more of a compelling cropping of the photo, because you have a lot more interesting subject matter going on. So now we're just going to do a simple cut. What we're going to do is, for non-destructive editing, is we're going to create a layer mask. So we're going to go right down here and say add layer mask. So we have the layer mask on right here. And so we have our layer mask on right here. And so to get rid of, or to kind of mask certain images that have a layer mask, we want to paint with our paintbrush tool with black. So black is going to eliminate it all. And this is non-destructive editing, so we can always recall our original photo whenever we need to. Just erasing certain elements we don't need. We want to keep a little bit of that smoke there. Okay, and what's great about a layering mask is I can always delete the layering mask and I have my original photo back. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to remove the sky because we want to bring in the beautiful galaxy star background behind it. So we need to remove these clouds. So we have this layer right here. We could do a couple things. We could just add a layering mask and use black to kind of paint away, maybe keep some of the clouds. So we could do that. We have black. Let's get a nice big brush. We'll go ahead and kind of eliminate. The great thing about a clipping mask, if we don't like our cutout later on, we can always change it. Let's go ahead and do our clipping mask first. Let's add our clipping mask down here. So let's click clipping mask, and now the black will eliminate all of our issues. So that is eliminated. We want to keep the clouds in there, keep them nice and fluffy. And so now we're going to grab our space. Let's see if we can't find our space. That's our animals. Here it is. I found it. Go ahead and drag him right underneath. He's going to be in the very back layer. And we're going to want to crop him. And you notice I used the cropping tool to kind of trim the sides off a little bit of our photo because it was really horizontal, a little too wide. So I just grabbed the cropping tool and trimmed off the left and right side so our textures don't have to be stretched as much. Okay, so now I just need to position this. Kind of want to bring some of that cool nebula texture behind it. And I don't like the clouds back there. I could probably use blending modes to get that to blend in better. Let's go ahead and eliminate the clouds altogether. It'll be a cloudless sky because we do have stars, and you know, you're not going to have clouds and then this beautiful night sky. So here's what we're going to do. We have our clipping mask here. I'm going to take the quick selection tool. Let's go ahead and select our clouds. So now that I have our clipping mask selected and we have our selection that we want to remove, I'm going to go ahead and go to select and mask. And I want to smooth out this selection so the bottom here is cut out really nicely. So I'm just smoothing it out. I'm going to add a little bit of a feather and click OK. And so now I'm going to do, when I have my layer mask selected, if I want to delete something, we want to paint on black. So I just have black and I'm going to paint it on. Go ahead and get rid of that. Okay. And then I'm going to grab, I'm going to continue to paint with black and just get that last little bit. It didn't cut out super smooth, so I'm just going to go in and kind of clean up this selection just a little bit right here. All right, so I'm going to choose a smaller brush, and I have black. I'm just painting on the layer mask and just going to kind of erase the selection a little bit here. Make it a little bit more smooth all the way across. I think that's going to be okay for right now. We're going to do some other things to make that blend in a lot better. We're going to be adding a much darker tone here, so you're not going to see the cutout as much. It's not going to be such a stark contrast there. So we're starting to get our environment set up a little bit. Let me see if I can't arrange this door more in the center. So I'm just taking my arrow keys, nudging them over to the center a little bit more. Kind of arrange our... What's great about non-destructive editing is I have the power to do anything. I don't have to go back and grab the original photo because I already have it. So I'm able to kind of shift this around without having to constantly cut things out and not be able to ever go back in time to modify it. So now next is our girl. So let's go ahead and grab our girl. That's our door. Here she is. So this one might be easy if we go up to select. Go ahead and select our layer. Select and subject. Let's see if the algorithm does a good job at selecting our girl. Because we can always use select and mask and smooth out our selection. So it's taking its time. Oh, it did a wonderful job. It makes our job a lot easier, doesn't it? There's just a few things I need to add to the selection. So I'm just going to grab, let me see if I can't do the magnetic lasso tool. I'm just going to hold down Shift, see if I can't bring in that little bit. And then probably need to subtract more than anything. And sometimes I grab the polygon lasso tool if I just want to have a nice straight cutout. Sometimes I just cut it out that way. Okay, and let's go ahead and do subtraction, or I can hold down Shift if I wanted to switch into subtraction mode quicker. So I can go to select and mask, and I can really include a little bit more hair there. And up here might be a little rough. All right, so I can go to select and mask and smooth out the selection. It's a pretty decent selection, so let's smooth it. Let's add the tiniest bit of feather and click OK. Oops, that added a lot of feather. Let's go back. Just a little feather. And then click OK. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a clipping mask. Or add a layer mask. So when we add a layer mask, it's going to go ahead and clip it for us, or cut it for us. And now if we ever wanted to go back and edit our selection, we could disable the layering mask. We have our original photo. So let's get her into our final photo. So it's really starting to come together. Drag her in, go ahead and get the right size for her. Make her a lot smaller. So this is the key. We don't want her to be a giant. We want to really size her up so that she's an appropriate size. So that would probably be too big, too tall, because that would be a really tiny door. She'd probably be about half the width of the door if she's maybe 5 years old. So that might still be a little bit too big, so just a little hair smaller, maybe right about there. I want it to be kind of this gigantic, mysterious door to her. We're going to press enter, and we're going to continue to position her. Maybe she's kind of hiding a little bit on the other side, a little bit scared. Maybe she's grabbing onto that handle, a little scared to walk in, so we're kind of shifting her over. Plus we want to leave room for some of the smoke material to kind of come out. So I like her position, and so now we need to kind of integrate her into this foreground a little bit. We just need to do a little bit of work on her feet, casting some shadows and kind of eliminating a little bit of this that I see.